I would like to welcome on stage for the official opening our very own Rob Beijleveld, CEO at ICT Media, Martijn Koning, Chairman of the CIO Platform Nederland, and Marc Schuuring, Managing Director and Senior Partner at Boston Consultancy Group. Give them a warm welcome, please. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It feels great to be here. I hope you have a great trip and having some great expectations, because we have a packed program. And I brought a friend of mine, the new chairman of the CIO Platform Netherlands.
That's me.
Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. That's a welcome, right?
Yeah, that's a welcome.
That's a welcome.
It's great to be here.
Right. So, Martijn, you are the Chief Digital and Sustainability Officer of Autobing Group.
Yeah.
You have been CDO of Alliander.
Yeah.
Before that, SVP or EVP within KPN.
EVP.
EVP.
Yeah.
Bit on the commercial side, right?
Yeah.
So not a typical die-hard CIO, so to speak.
No.
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 So you're a
Definitely
new kind of a tech leader.
Yeah.
So in that context, what can we expect? What should we expect from this profession?
Well, I think as we sit here as tech professionals, we all know that during the maturity of a company, the stages of a company that are evolving, different perspectives on tech, IT, innovation are complicit. And because of that, in certain stages, more of a hardcore IT focus is needed, and sometimes more of a business focus. When I was called about 3-4 years ago to work at Alliander, I told them, well, did you look at my resume? There's no tech there. But in the belief that every company becomes a tech company, I said, well, I'm going to jump into that. And now at Autobing Group, it's the same. And yeah, I really like it to be part of this community also.
Right. So if we take that to the fact that not only today is the 18th edition of the CIO Day, but also you guys are 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
As CIO Platform Netherlands.
Yeah.
So if you take that in the sense of, and you have been surfacing and facilitating many topics, right?
Yeah.
But if you put that in the context of today, we just passed or finished COVID, so to speak. Well, we have a little long tail perhaps, but if you look to the big themes today, so what's on the agenda?
So, well, I've been on the board of the CIO platform for 2 years now. And the past few years, we worked on how to improve relations between demand and supply. So that's also a nice topic on the table today, I think. But looking at what's happening in the world, I think there are 3 main topics that we have to address. First of all, the results of geopolitical effects is on security. I think one of the main agenda points for many boards at this moment. The second one is the war on talent, and I am a firm believer that diversity is essential to be a winner on the war of talent. And the third one, of course, I'm not only responsible for digital at Autobing, but also for sustainability, is if we want to make a lasting business, we also should look deeply into the theme of sustainability.
Right. So CIODAY is always a get-together.
Yeah.
Of both demand and supply, right? So in the and that's the only, I think it's the only stage where it's allowed to mingle, right?
Yeah.
So to speak. So if you take that in conjunction with the fact that we are massively talking about ecosystems, we are massively talking about value propositions, we are massively talking about how, right, interact with each other. So what's the point of view here within CIO Platform Netherlands regarding the supply side, right?
Yeah.
You got a couple of them here, right?
I don't know.
And not the least, so to speak.
No,
right?
no. So what we have seen in the past few years is that the level playing field was not really there between demand and supply. So what we said as a platform that we have to invest in that. So we made sure that both in Brussels and in The Hague, the term of business users also become known. And with that, we try to make sure that this level playing field is coming, because I truly believe that these partnerships are essential for speeding up innovation and having impact on the 3 themes that we've just mentioned.
Right. So if you look to today, what should it bring? What should it bring to
So I hope it will bring open conversations. I hope it will bring new insights and new connections to bring home this new, these challenges.
Right. So let us ask also our buddy Marc Schuuring from BCG on stage. There's no applause for you, Marc. Sorry. Oh, yeah, there is. Okay. Right. So we just take you to a couple of trends and snapshots. Why we ask you up front, what are the interesting themes? What are on your agenda? What are the dilemmas? And of course, we always ask Marc with some 3, 5, or 7 slides, so to speak, always the uneven number. So hit us here.
Thank you. Like my colleague Rob used to say, geen praatje zonder plaatje. Here we go. Normally you get a keynote from BCG, and now you get your own data. So normally we talk about what's happening in the rest of the world, but this is what's happening here. And then I think I've got some super cool data for you. So thank for all of those who took the time to fill in what was quite an extensive survey, but I hope you like the results. The first question we ask you is top of mind trends in your organization. If you look at the top 3 from both the demand side and the supply side, it's relatively the same. You see, probably by COVID, on the demand side, how do we keep this business running? But then a war for talent, for example, that you also see on the supply side, that was just mentioned as well. And you see sustainability quite high. We also asked everybody that actually filled in, do you consider yourself to be a digital champion or a laggard? And when you look at those results, it suddenly becomes a little bit changed, because you see on the supply side that innovation, R&D, for the leaders is top of mind. 3 out of 4 basically say that's where we really focus on. And you also see that digital ecosystems for leaders are more top of mind than for some of the laggards. On the supply side, R&D improvement, massive difference, basically rounded. 4 out of 4 of the leaders basically focus on that. And then overtaking peers. Basically, so the heat is on, probably also in combination with the war on talent. We then zoomed in question 2 on digital transformation, key challenges. And what's interesting, if you look at the demand side, top 3 is still about top steering, top governance. And also on the supply side, you see basically how do we get our leadership really to focus into a digital mindset and frame and educate them. And then the scores on the supply side are a little less differentiated. If we go to champions versus laggards, something really interesting happens on the demand side. As you can see, that, for example, and now I need to look very closely, the new innovative business for the leaders, the champions, is way up. So you can see, and this is what we see in our external research as well, that once a digital company has an advantage, it keeps basically growing that advantage. It's a theme that we've seen a couple of times. Thank you, Rob.
You can see the slides better,
yes,
right?
That's a little bit better.
I'm just pragmatic.
That's it. Okay, we're zooming in. We asked the demand side, saying, okay, great. Which major problems are you facing? And we asked the supply side as well. Just fill it in. What do you think that the demand side is facing? Every company is still doing too much. We want too much at the same time. It's either unmanageable or it's unaffordable. And that thing has been there for 18 years, by the way. So digital doesn't change that. And then you see basically something very interesting happening. So how do you get information on what works and what doesn't? And what you will now see in the next 3 slides is that the discussion is not so much about more what is digital transformation about. It is very much about how do you execute? How have others done that? How can we have a discussion on Not just what you do, but also how valuable is that. So let's look at the difference. You see that having a insight in digital capabilities, obviously for champions, is easier than for the laggards. Also, proving ROI is easier for champions than for laggards, but still 2 out of 4 basically say, well, that's still a bit of a problem, despite the fact that we're a champion. On the supply side,
just get
I need to stop.
Can you respond on that?
Yeah, I think there's a trend there, especially for, I think, a lot of digital leaders here in the room, because also on the top it was mentioned agile governance and leadership. And I think the biggest change that we see, well, in the companies I've worked in, but also when I talk to colleague leaders, that the biggest change is in leadership. And you see all this innovation and change springing up from below, and it's about how do you deal with that when you're in a senior position. And that's also about failing to prove a digital ROI. It's also about leadership, a lot of the time, I think.
It's this move from having 1,000 flowers bloom that in the end don't move the needle at the enterprise level to really steering on what is important. Let's go to the supply side. That is a bit of a boring picture. So basically everything got ticked by 2 out of 4 of the suppliers. So that doesn't tell you a lot. But again, if you open it up, there's one nugget in there. So getting challenged on investment and impact of cases, of use cases. You see a material difference that the suppliers that consider themselves champions actually don't have that many problems of having that conversation than the other ones. And then finally, we asked, okay, what would really help if you would have joint acceleration between the demand side and supply side on the house, on digital use cases, and to go faster forward, because in the end, that's what we would like to see. You see something interesting, so and it will change. So on the supply side, the highest one is, I would like to have physical meetings or hybrid meetings so I can talk. Whereas on the demand side, that's absolutely not highest on the agenda, as you can see. If I open it up...
This is good news for the platform.
And you see actually that having use cases, a discussion around use cases, curated use cases, maybe third-party vetted, is actually ticked by a lot of people. Where's my last one? It's not there. Oh, Rob.
That's a great one.
Oh, that's a great cliffhanger.
So the blanco is there are no recommendations and advice here. So
we'll share that last slide with you. What is on that last slide is if you open it up for champions and laggards, is actually that the C-level verified and approved testimonials, the reliable business cases validated by third party, on the supply side are ticked not by the laggards, but by the champions. So what we see is that not just on basically the demand side, an acceleration of digital companies away from the companies that are not that digital, but we also see the other one that gets ticked is sales support using advanced analytics. On the supply side is you see the supply side getting more and more digital, but also more data-driven and outcome-driven in the discussions they would like to have with the demand side. I hope that gives you a lot of food for thought for today. And is a great starter and a great direction, I think, for the Dutch demand and supply ecosystem together to pursue.
Right. Thanks, Marc.
Thank you.
So, actually, the curated cases was interesting, right?
Yeah, it is. That's, of course, something where we meet with ICT Media and the CIO platform, because we firmly believe that if you talk to peers and get inspired, it will help you not only to be inspired, but also to improve your own organization and strategy. So that's good.
Well, good partnership, right? I would say enjoy your day and thank you guys. Let's start the program with the first keynote, right? Thank you very much.
Have fun.